Good afternoon. It's David Saline, Chris Scully from Drive, and today we have special guests Jim Krell, Debbie, and Dave Jennerjohn with us today. So welcome everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
And
Hi,
so
hi.
Today we're going to talk about playbooks. And for a lot of our viewers, if you haven't heard, at our expo, we released a new app called Playbook App. And I'm going to do a quick introduction to what the Playbook app is. So I want you to imagine if you went and bought, let's just say, a McDonald's franchise. When you buy that franchise, they hand you over a book on everything on how to operate the business. And that's from how to run their cashier's registers, how to build a hamburger, down to what the appearance of the building should be and the upkeep of everything that goes on in there. And it's built so that you could also take and hand sections of that playbook to any employee, and they would understand their job, be able to train up on their job and do this.
Hard to do that one-handed.
So Drive has created an app to help shop owners organize and build their playbook, but it's a very big app and has a lot of things going on with it. And part of what that is it's where you can issue your policies and procedures through it electronically to your employees and have them sign off on it. You can put training materials into it and see that the employees completed the training materials. You can build checklists on different procedures that you want them to do. You can survey your employees through this app, and it manages it all. You can put your job descriptions, it houses everything you want to do to build a playbook for your shop. Now, I know Jim and Debbie and Dave have already signed up. They're working in their playbook app. They've loaded their employees, got everything going on the playbooks. They're issuing stuff. So we just want to kind of talk to the group here about what playbook means, what it means for your shop. So I'll start with Debbie, since Dave's out on a boat fishing right now and he's on by voice, but we'll let Debbie speak for him there. You're muted, Debbie.
Debbie, you're muted.
Sorry, my dogs were barking. I didn't want you to hear that.
All right.
So this is live, right?
Yes.
So I started with the Drive app when we were doing building the Dream Team building app, and it was really easy to be able to load all of our employees in there, assign them rights, and their paperwork. So everything's in there, and it makes it so if you need something, you need to look back at something, you can just click on their account, you can find it. And instead of having all the files in the folder in a drawer, then you have to go through all that. It's so much quicker and easier. So it's a lot of that. And then I'm in the process of bringing over all my policies. And then as I'm bringing them over, I'm looking, okay, this is just a real short policy, but there are steps in there that need to be broke out. So we do checklists, we do surveys on it. I have a survey that I'm going to be sending out, asking the team what they would like to do for Christmas and give them some options. So it's more than just about personnel issues. It's about planning too. You can utilize it for planning. So far I'm really thrilled with it.
Yeah,
Okay,
and actually let's explain to our audience a few of the functions that the Playbook app has to clarify a few things. So now you guys both had written policies and procedures in binders and things like that before, right? So what the app does is it makes all that paperless. You can have all of those same policies and procedures. You can put them in groupings, and you can build playbooks just like you could with a hard copy binder, only it's all digital. So that's kind of the first thing everybody should know. But within that, there are different types of plays that you can actually incorporate. Debbie mentioned checklists. There's also a native document editor in the Playbook app where you can type things in or copy and paste it from whatever word processing you've used. There's also, you can upload files to it. So if you've got something that's a spreadsheet or a PDF or a PowerPoint, things like that, you can upload it directly to the Playbook app, and it's then available to your team that way. And we have the ability to do questionnaires and surveys, as Debbie brought up as well, which have a lot of usefulness in terms of things like assessing employees and what do they need training on and things like that. So that's those are some of the functions within the app. And now let me ask you guys a question. And actually, Jim, tell us a little bit about how it's been going for you in terms of getting your existing stuff into the app and getting it utilized in your shop.
It's been pretty easy because I had it pretty much electronic already. I had files and stuff that I could just put in there. Had to format them just a little bit different, and still working on it. But no, it's gone really easy. And you have these apps and you open the Playbook app and say, you need some information for one of your employees. It's right there. Boom, you got it. You don't have to go, Debbie was saying, you don't have to go pull a file to get any of that information and stuff. And it's been really easy just to assign it to an employee and get their response, get the things done. And you don't just have to be, it's on an app. So no matter where you're at, you can handle these situations. If the manager needs something, he could log in and do it. If not, he could shoot me a text and I can do it anywhere I'm at in the world, type of thing, as long as I got internet. So it really makes it valuable. And in implementing it, it's kind of funny. You can have a policy, or say you got something you're trying to get some help with from your employees, a problem you're trying to fix, and you talk to them in a meeting and you can hear a pin drop. Nobody has any answers or no response, or no acknowledgement that they understand the policy. And the same way one-on-one, sometimes they just don't respond to anything. But it's just amazing whenever they think they're talking to the computer, their keyboard, or they're talk to text, you get more response from them, even though they know you're going to see it. I don't know if it's just on their time or what, but they just seem to, you get more responses. You get, hey, I think we should do it this way, or I don't agree with that. And then you can follow up with them and handle the concern or whatever they don't understand and go from there. So it's just been huge because you get input instead of that silence. So
yeah, that's a really great point. And I know that some shops, at least for important policies, would have a thing where they'd have the employee sign at the bottom that they've read the policy, et cetera. And with the Playbook app, because you can assign it to them, you can see that they've done it, you can get that you can survey them on their understanding of it and so on. It pretty much eliminates the need for that. And that also then reduces the amount of paper you have to keep on file, which is another cool thing. How's that gone in terms of getting your employees to do assignments in your shops?
It really hasn't been a problem. We did have one guy that's not very techy. We actually had to even set up an email address for him, older guy, and he's just not in that, but we got it set up for him now. And, somebody will remind him that he has some emails that he can just take care of, and he'll just do it at work. He won't do it at home, but, it's just getting an agreement and, getting him to do it. So.
That's great. How about you, Debbie?
I have two that I didn't even set up with an email. They're part-time parts runners, and they're 70 and 74. And actually the older one's a little more tech savvy than the younger one, but I just decided it wasn't worth the effort. I'll do the paperwork for them because it's,
Sure.
there's not that many that really apply except for
Mhm.
the, all,
So,
but,
can
I have a 58-year-old that is really not that tech savvy, and he was the first one to do an assignment. When I started giving the assignments, he would, and he came up and he said, how'd it look? I did it. How'd it look?
That's great. That's
Well,
very
you know,
cool.
that's funny because that makes a game out of it. And when people that you think ain't tech savvy, you'd be surprised how much they do know about working with emails and responding.
Mhm.
And like I said, the app's very easy. Once you open the email, it just walks you through step by step what you need to do. It makes it easy for the employee to answer questions and fill it out. And, you know, we've talked about a lot about policies and procedures on this right now, which is great that you're starting with your policies and procedures. But I really want to talk about the vision of what it really can do. And I know Chris knows a lot of this. We're behind the scenes and seen all of it. But when you can put a training module into the app and see, has the employee actually done the training? Did they got proof that they got training? And the
That part
example
I
is that you could put up something, and I'm going to use brake job as an example for a technician. Okay, here's how we want all of our brake jobs done in the shop. This is the steps that we need to do. I know it's different from model on the actual tech piece that you do for the steps you do, but this, and this must be done to every brake job. And then not only that, can you say, now show me that you understand this. I want you to do this checklist. And then within this checklist, the next time you do a brake job, I want you to show me a picture of you doing this. I want to see written documentation that you did this, or I want to see a short video, or give me some kind of proof that you understood exactly what I asked you to do. So not only is it saying I'm doing training, but it's now saying, can you actually do the do? And prove to me that you can do the do without me having to stand over your shoulder the whole time in the shop to see that you're doing it.
That part is awesome. Yeah.
And another part with that too, David, is we've set up a new hire training. So say we hire somebody, I can get his information and I can get this training pack to him that he can even start before he shows up at the building, you know. He can get his intake paperwork done, you know, and you can have several tasks, you know, like review our website, check that out, and, you know, confirm he did that, all different types of things. And then it even carries on to when he's at the building, you know, and getting familiarized with everything in that way, and policies and stuff like that before he even gets to the place. So
Yeah, and one
Well-
piece that I see on this is, Dave, were you talking?
well, I'd like to.
Okay,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
So as an owner, we really found, because, you know, our policy, we've been there for a long time. Our policies, some of them are pretty old, and it made us revisit. And, you know, according to our policy, we were still using racks and stuff like that for our tech assignments. So that's what we're doing now, is going back and fixing all those things that were so outdated that once they were in that file and there was a policy or whatever, you just never looked at again. So for us, bringing that all back in front of us and making us look at it all the time is kind of really a neat thing.
Yeah, that's actually a great point, because a lot of times you'll write something and it'll sit there and you don't look at it again, and you may not even use it as much as you should to train your employees. And then all of a sudden you start using it and you realize that, oh, wow, this is 5 years out of date. So
Exactly,
that's a great
exactly.
point.
Well, we also have simple ones like we changed our business hours from 8 to 4:30 to 7 to 5:30, and only work 4/10s. So in my new hire paperwork, you need to be at work at 8 o'clock. You know, and it's like, and you know, an employee says, a new employee says, 8 o'clock. I thought we worked at 7. I said, you do. Gotta change that. So it's just little things that change that you don't think about. You've got to change it in other places where.
Right.
Well, one of the features now when you're talking about this, and I know Chris can talk about this, but your policies and procedures and any document you load into the playbook has a search function on it. And you can search for keywords, and you could even say open time in there, and it'll pull up any document that shows open time in your document.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to say, okay, we're changing our opening time as this is an example, and then it'll show you every document that you need to go update to change
Right.
that opening time by a simple keyword search. So this is something that makes it easier, because this is a problem that shops run into is we change one thing to better the business, but how many written documents do we issue to our employees that have something that contradicts that we need to change and update on there? So now this makes it easy to update that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and when you had paper files, or even if you had them in, Google Docs or OneDrive or, something like that, you didn't have that kind of search functionality that worked like that. And it would take a long time to remember and find all of that stuff. And because the Playbook app is searchable by keyword, you can find anything. Anything that you've put into the app is very easy to retrieve at any time. So updating things becomes a snap compared to what it was before.
Now, Chris, we did have a question come in from Aaron Walton that's watching our show today. So Aaron, I'll answer your question right now. How can you sign up or get the app? Talk to your consultant or your account rep at Drive, and they'll get you set up to be on the app and use the app. Like I said, it's very powerful. But I want to take one step back on this before we go. We're talking about the different functions. This is a very powerful app. There's nothing like it in the industry. I don't even think there's anything like it in many other industries. This is built by advice from shop owners. I know, Jim, you had a great deal of input on how this playbook went together. It's taken 30 years of Drive experience to load in there. And not only that, it has templates. So when you're doing your Drive consulting, we load your templates up into it. So you can see templates. This is an example of marketing pieces. You can take that template and customize it, modify it. And in some cases, policies and procedures, you can take a template and just put your name on it and use that template. So it takes a lot of the work out of building your playbook. But the big piece on it is there's thousands, and Chris is probably over the team that helps do that. And there's thousands and thousands and thousands of Drive documents that's been loaded into Playbook. Not only that, but as we move forward, we're systematically putting all of our workshop material in it. So if you've attended a workshop with Drive, your material will be housed in your playbook. You can go back and use it as a reference at any time. So there's lots of things that are incorporated to this playbook. It's not just your policies and procedures or training for your employees. It's your training that you're getting through Drive is done through this playbook app too.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is that we're using it from our coaches to assign you materials that you need to learn as a shop owner. And those materials are available to you, so you can go back and look at them again. In the past, we'd send things like that out by email or through another system where you'd get an online assignment. But then after you did it and went over it with your coach, it was anybody's guess where you put it and how to find it again, right? And it wasn't very well organized in that way. And the Playbook app also organizes that. So there's a lot of material that is available to the shop owners, either by their coaches assigning it to them or is part of the library that we've uploaded. There's definitely well over 1,000 individual documents and files that we've uploaded, and we're continuing to add to the library on a weekly basis. So it's expanding, and we're putting more and more organization into it, and there's going to be added features as we move forward. So and the whole point is that if you can imagine a situation where everything that gets done in your shop is documented in some form or another in your playbook, and you have a playbook for every position in your shop, and you have a playbook for any eventuality that might occur in your shop, such as a hurricane or an earthquake or a volcano or whatever, and you have a playbook for dealing with that, and you have playbooks for safety and all your OSHA compliance and all the things that as a business you should have. And it's all at the fingertips of yourself and all of your employees that it applies to. How would your business run if you had all that, because that's the way we built this playbook app, is to get it to the point where you could have all of those things, and it's all immediately and easily accessible to the people in your shop that need the information.
Now, Chris, we do have another question. Adam, and I know you'll be able to answer this. Adam asked, if you load a policy as a file, will the search function still work finding words within that file? Yes.
In fact, we spent a lot of effort to make sure that would happen. It'll work with Word documents, it'll work with PowerPoints, it'll work with any file that you upload. It will be, when you upload it, it will be indexed and it will be searchable within a few hours of you doing the upload. So, Chris, if I get this right, what you're saying is this playbook search functions and stuff is kind of like a Google search for your shop and all your operating procedures and policies and documents that you put in your shop. You can search it just like you would Google and pull up the best results or the results that you're looking for. It works pretty darn close to the way Google works. Yeah. And it's very accurate. We did a lot of testing on it. We made sure that it also didn't pull up duplicate, results and things like that. So the search function works really well. It's one of the things that we put a lot of work into, because we knew that we had shops out there with, hundreds of pages of files already, and policies and procedures, and we wanted to make sure that once they were in the app, they'd be easy to find.
Very well.
So can I ask this question? So if you load the workshops, can you search through the workshops?
When the workshops are all uploaded into the playbook app, you will be able to, any content that's in those workshop materials will be searchable. Yes.
Oh, awesome.
So for example, and I used this example with somebody not too long ago, the subject of a referral program is covered in at least 2 workshops, if not 3. And maybe you don't remember which workshop it was in, right? So you could actually search referral program, and if once all of the workshops are in the app and available, then it would pull up exactly where in those workshops, which workshop that talks about referral program. Not only that, but if you typed in referral program and you have your access to your workshops, it'll pull it up the workshops. But if you had policies or procedures within your shop that showed anything that had to do with referral program, it's going to show you those too. So It's going to show you everything that it may have connected to your playbook that has referral program in it. Right. Now, real quickly, one of the things that was touched just a minute ago, and I think, Jim, you brought this up, it's a culture. When you onboard somebody and you bring a new employee on and you're using this technology and they see how advanced your shop is and how that is, how does that help your business? It has to be like, wow, these guys are really got their game on, and I'm really excited about working here now.
Yeah, definitely. It just shows that you're staying up with technology, you're moving forward, and it's just like you say, they have that information, as an owner, we're trying to find a policy to give to them in the paper, but now we have access to where we can find it. Well, once you give it to the employee and they want to find it 2 years later, they can go back and search it themselves, because who knows what they've done with it, And moving forward too, it's more than just playbooks, and it's more than policies and hats and stuff like that. A day-to-day operation, it's like you can upload stuff that they need to download and print or whatever. We use it like just for instance, one thing, every first of the month we check all the hoists, lube them, and torque the anchor bolts. So you set that up and it just gets assigned to them every first of the month. They complete it and reply, it got done. You got documentation that it was done. So when OSHA comes in, you can say, here, boom, 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 let's print it. And they're like, they'll be taken back themselves that you have that information all in one spot.
Yeah, there's a lot of powerful stuff that the capabilities of this playbook app are endless of what you can do with it. And it's just, if you open your mind and think, what could I use it for? You'll sit there probably laying awake all night long trying to figure out what you can't use it for, because there won't be much you can't use it for. So we are coming up on the end of our time real quick, but any final thoughts from Debbie or Jim that you would like to talk to our viewers about on the playbook from what you've seen so far?
I like the fact of the accountability, because if you issue any kind of paper or any kind of assignment to a tech or to an employee, put it to an employee, you can track if they've even opened it, if they've read it, you know, and finished it. And like a policy, you have their digital signature now. And so a few months later, when they do the same thing that they, you know, broke the policy, then you can say, well, no, I've never heard of that. And all you have to do is say, well, I'm going to issue this again, but here's your digital signature from when you did it before. So then they're going to know that, oh, I better remember that one. So it keeps us from having to reissue a policy, because they know we're keeping track of it. You know, and
Yeah,
it's
it's a
right
great
there.
point.
Yeah, it's just taking you to the next level, and it's actually freeing up your time. So
Exactly.
just go get it and get it going.
Okay. Well, I have one more before we close out today. As everybody's aware of, I'm sure, Florida has been hit by a major hurricane. Now it's moving up the coast on the East Coast over there. Look, us at Drive, we're here to help. We hope everybody down there in Florida is safe, and your families and everything is safe. That's the most important thing. But as the days move forward, there's processes and procedures to getting back open and getting things back to normal. And at Drive, we're here to help everybody with that. We'll probably have some upcoming webinars for people affected by the hurricane. If you know of a shop owner that's struggling or having problems down there in Florida, have them call in, because we have people set aside to help them, walk them through things. We're here to help the industry. We want to make sure all of our fellow shop owners are doing well and surviving through what the weeks to come and what has to come in the future. And one of the things, this does tie into playbook again. This is procedures you can put into your shop for any of these, as Chris said, for any disaster or anything like that, how to get up and going again, how to get your shop back on its feet. But we're here for Drive, and anybody you know that needs help with their shop or anything like that, please get their names to us. We're going to have people set aside to go call them and help them through this time. So anything we can do to help any of those out there. And we just want to make sure that all of our employees in Florida, all of our shop owners, and everybody in general out there is safe. And, you know, we're here to help them get through this time.
Absolutely.
And then next week, we'll be back on Friday. And on Friday's show, we will be talking, just a second, I'm pulling it up.
We'll be talking about masters.
Yeah, we'll be talking about masters. That's correct. We're going to be talking about masters. We just came out of our recent expo. We had many shops. I think there was 15 total that walked across the stage getting master and master elite. So we will be talking about that to our client base. What's it mean to be a master? What's it take to be a master? I know, Jim, you're master elite. Debbie, you guys have gotten masters. Master elite too, or working
Just
on your
masters.
master? Okay.
Working on a master
you,
elite.
yes. So what does it mean? We're going to talk about what does it mean? How do you get there? And what does it take to get your shop into that condition? So we'll have a great episode next week talking about being a master. So everybody else, thank you for tuning in today. Have a great weekend. Everybody out there in Florida, if you need any help, let us know. We're out here to help you. And Debbie, Jim, and Dave, thank you for joining us. I know Dave probably has a big fish on the hook right now out there on the lake. So send us some fish here soon, Dave.
All righty.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.